like a Hellcat.
Welcome to Heal the World News. First time saw a picture of blue whale, National Geographic magazine. A drawing of the whale, and their tiny humans standing beside it. This thing was bigger than any dinosaur. The problem of plastic pollution is growing exponentially every year. We are producing more than 300 million tons of plastic. Half of this is designed for single use, and each year around 8 million tons of it ends up in our oceans. I didn't know that in the last 10 years we made more plastic than we did in century before that. Half of those plastic products are considered disposable, but think about it, how can a disposable product be made of a material that's indestructible? Where does it go? 63 billion gallons of oil are used every year just to supply the US with plastic water bottles. More than 90% of these are used only once. U.S. alone throws away 38 billion bottles every year. That 2 million tons of plastic going into U.S. landfills, and that's only from water bottles. In this year alone, every man, woman and child will consume about 300 pounds or 136 kilos of single-use plastic. Plastic is wonderful because it's durable, and plastic is terrible because it is durable. Plastic production globally this year is expected to be more than 300 million tons. By 2050, when the population explodes to almost 10 billion people, it's expected that plastic production will triple. The problem with that is that today only a fraction of the plastic that we produce is recycled. The rest ends up in our environment, and it's coating our land and our oceans like a disease. Tasmania smells like freshness, it smells like salt spray. Primitive, it just smells natural. It has the cleanest air and water measured anywhere on the planet. Over 80% of oceans plastic leaks from land-based sources, even if you don't live near the ocean. Chances are your plastic garbage has found its way to the sea. Thousands of years of agriculture and industry have made the Med one of the most polluted bodies of water on the planet. About 8 million tons of plastic is dumped into the world oceans every year. More than 50% of marine debris, including plastic, sinks to the bottom of the ocean. Our oceans are driven by 5 major circular currents, or gyres. These are created by the Earth rotation and the resulting predominant winds. Each continent is affected by these massive systems. They collect waste flowing from our rivers and coastlines, and over time, anything floating within the gyre will eventually move towards the center of the gyre. Scientists estimate that there are more than 5 trillion pieces of plastic afloat in our oceans worldwide. These tiny pieces of plastic that are floating on the surface of the ocean come from larger pieces over time. The sun's ultraviolet light, ocean wave action, and slat break it up into smaller pieces called microplastics. Microplastics have rough pitted surfaces. Waterborne chemicals from industry and agriculture stick to microplastics, making them toxic poison pills. Plankton and larval fish filmed eating microplastics. Microbeads used in facial scrubs, toothpaste and cosmetics are a significant source of ocean microplastics. The use must be stopped worldwide. The problem is these plastics absorb chemicals that are free floating in the ocean. So when the fish eat the plastics, those toxins then migrate from the plastic into the muscles or the fats, the parts that we like to eat in fish, ending up in the fish then as they eat more and more of them, and so that S the part we like to eat, and that's where these chemicals migrate to. Phthalates are chemicals used to make plastics more flexible, transparent and durable. Phthalates are toxic. The majority of ocean plastic comes from just 6 countries: China, Thailand, Vietnam, Philippines, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, Hong Kong. Billions of plastic pellets have spilled into Hong Kong's southern waters after several containers fell off a ship when Typhoon Vicente battered Hong Kong. 6 containers full of noodles. All of them broke up in the storm and disgorged most of their plastic bags into the sea. In a recent study published in Scientific Reports, U.C. Davis researchers examined 76 fish slated for human consumption in Indonesia and 64 in California. They found that in both groups, roughly 1/4 had anthropogenic debris in their guts. The researchers found plastic in the Indonesian population and plastic and textile fibers in the American one. The ocean is the world's largest source of protein. More than 2.6 billion people depend on the ocean for the primary source of protein. By 2025, 10 times more plastic each year is estimated to be dumped into our oceans. Lord Howe Island, 600 kilometers northeast of Sydney. Lord Howe Island is a World Heritage Site. Seabirds pick up plastic from oceans all over the world. When they return to their nesting grounds, scientists can study what the birds have found. They pick up plastic off the surface of the ocean. An estimated 90% of all seabirds have swallowed plastic at some time in their lives. Worldwide, we use an estimated 1 trillion plastic bags each year, nearly 2 million a minute, with the use time of a typical bag just 12 minutes. When animals eat plastic, they're also consuming the toxins attached to the plastic. Toxins pass into the bloodstream. They bioaccumulate in the fatty tissue and around the vital organs. When animals use the stored fat, the toxins circulate around the body, interfering with reproduction, metabolism, growth, kidney and liver function. Sirstina's dolphin biopsy results were also positive for phthalates. Manila, Philippines. Around 1,500 tons daily waste. Platis. Tuvalu gained its independence in 1978. Tuvalu is a microcosm of the entire planet, and they have nowhere to put the plastic. During World War II, in order to build an airstrip, Tuvalu's population has doubled since 1980. As usable land dwindled, homes were built over the Boropeats. U.S. Navy is looking for a way to deal with shipboard waste, pyrogenesis, the destruction of combustible waste through use of a plasma torch. Austin is very cool city. It's environmentally aware. It was the first city in Texas to ban the plastic bag. It's an oasis of eco-friendly people in a state that's headquarters for the largest oil companies and petrochemical plants. Plastipur is where we formulate and test plastics for the physical characteristics. Opening parenthesis. Certichem. On the Certichem side where we are here, we test plastics and other substances. 92.6% of Americans over 6 years old have detectable levels of BPA in the bodies. BPA levels in children between 6 and 11 years old are twice as high as those in older Americans. Centers for Disease Control. Plastic packaging for food makes up the majority of municipal waste in America. 80 million tons of waste in America alone every year comes from plastic food packaging. If you must buy food in plastic like yogurt and cheese, buy larger servings. Did you know that single-use coffee pods, tea bags and dry sheets all contain plastics? You will make a positive difference by avoiding single-use and individually packaged items. Canada is the world's second largest country at around 10 million square kilometers, 3,861,022 square miles in size. There are 10 provinces, 2 of which do not have any coastline on any ocean, and 3 territories which are primarily north of 60 latitude and account for 40% of Canada's landmass. Canada has borders with the Pacific, Atlantic and Arctic Oceans and has the longest coastline in the world at 243,793 kilometers. 151,486 miles long and is home to 25% of the world's wetlands. Opening parenthesis. 15 to 25% of the prairies are considered wetlands. Closing parenthesis. About 8.9% of Canada's area is also covered by water. Canada is rich in environmental beauty and wildlife, home to over 70,000 plant and animal species, and contains 10% of the world's forests. It is also home to the Great Lakes, which shares its borders with the U.S. These lakes form the largest group of freshwater lakes on Earth, containing 21% of the world's surface freshwater by volume. Due to the sea-like characteristics, rolling waves, sustained winds, strong currents, great depths and distant horizons, the 5 Great Lakes have also long been referred to as inland oceans. Aside from 230 species of fish, Canada's marine wildlife includes over 20 types of whale, including beluga, fin, humpback, sperm, killer and fin pilot whales. There are varieties of dolphins, harbor porpoise, seals, sea lions, walrus, polar bears and turtles, making the oceans around Canada rich and diverse, and why it is crucial Canadian waters are healthy. But the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association, NOAA, nearly 100,000 marine mammals have garbage-related deaths each year. It is estimated that over 2.86 billion plastic bags are used annually in Canada, 200 for every one of this. It has been suggested there could be at least 500,000 pieces of plastic per square kilometer in some parts of the Great Lakes, equivalent to 2,500 pieces of plastic per area the size of a football field. The Canadian Steller sea lion populations have declined by 80% over the past 3 decades, leading to the classification as a species of special concern in Canada. With entanglement to debris, particularly plastic packing bands, as the main threat. The St. Lawrence Estuary population of beluga whales are listed as endangered by the Committee on the Status of Endangered Wildlife in Canada, COSEWIC, and researchers have found synthetic polymer fibers and plastic pellets in the digestive tracts of fish in Lake Erie. Part of the Great Lakes, plastic pollution is an environmental and social justice issue.
Raindrops, drop top, top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that.